It's time for another favorite, and I am so excited to share this book with you. I read How Music Works by David Byrne in 2021. It's one of my favorites. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I wrote this review after reading. This is such a fascinating read. I'm not sure what I expected when I added this to my reading list. Maybe because of Byrne's legendary history, I thought I'd get some vignettes into the creation stories of Talking Heads and some insight into the basis of his creativity. The book has that and so much more. I was super impressed with the composition of the nonfiction and its flow. Byrne starts with an idea and then fills the idea with detail and nuance and leads the reader to all different kinds of expressions of the idea through time and technology and a perfect mix of personal anecdote, which was what I was craving in the first place. I learned so much reading this book about stuff I cared about and stuff I didn't know I cared about until I read it. If you care about music, there are gems for you to discover here. This book was an amazing surprise for me when I read it. I was so happy with it. I don't even know where I found it, but there is so much in here that is really interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the different chapters in this review because I feel like there's so much to learn and so much that's interesting about music here that I didn't guess was going to be a part of this book at all. One of the chapters, Byrne talks about how special a venue is in making music sound a certain way. Now, I don't remember if he led into it with the ways that Talking Heads came up and the kinds of small venues they were playing in versus the amazing sort of historic venues of opera houses and stadiums and these sort of things. But the chapter gets so into detail about how the venue matters and becomes what it's like to hear the song. It's really interesting. It's something that I hadn't even considered. It goes into great detail about what sort of financial things artists are responsible for. And we've all heard stories of certain artists being screwed by their recording deals or being taken advantage of by the way that these deals come out. But I had no idea the amount of aspects of what they do in their business are actually their requirement. Byrne actually breaks it up into like pie charts and specific things for you to understand that so much of what we think of would be covered by the companies that are signing these artists. And really, it comes down to the artist's responsibility. There's a lot of negotiations out there. There's a lot of different ways to do it now. Famously, recently, there's this band called Delta Ray, a great anthem-y band out of North Carolina that broke away from having a music label doing their work. They had a GoFundMe and Taylor Swift got the Swifties up to support them and stuff. I'm a huge fan of their work. I didn't understand what a mammoth process that was when they were going through that. But looking at this and learning about what Byrne talks about here, it just shows how many different people the artists are required to pay for in the music business. I had no idea. And unless you're close to the music industry, I think there's going to be things that surprise you here too. So those are 2 chapters that are there. Another one that I really loved, I'm a huge fan of vinyl music, and I have always kind of felt like it sounds better. Well, Byrne goes into detail about what happened during the process from analog recording through to digital and how we lost certain aspects of frequencies that come through in more analog recordings. Reaffirmed what I kind of already knew about my records, that they sounded a little bit more complete. Now, technology is improving and it's getting better all the time and those gaps are getting smaller, but it was really neat to learn how my ear was right and the things that I wanted to like about music, about that particular physical media kind of music mattered as well. There are a lot of those details about Talking Heads and the way that they got started and things like that. And these examples of things that are in these chapters are just some of the things in this book. It is huge and it is hugely connected to the music experience in all different kinds of ways. I never would have guessed that those things were what this book was going to be about. Byrne does an amazing job of delivering it in a way that's going to be interesting to anyone that likes music. So this is one of my favorites, How Music Works by David Byrne. I read it in 2021. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Till next.